Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sloppy Lab. This is Bottom of the Beaker, the Keyforge show about. Oh man, I'm still working on that part. I think I like mixing up the intro a little bit, At
Yeah.
least say what we are and get that in there.
Yeah, I feel like if you practice this, you'll probably get it around 3,457 times, and you'll
Oh
find the
my
right one, I
gosh,
think.
this guy, jumping the gun with his own intros. Can I do the one that I had ready to go, or is it like, do we miss the
Okay,
opportunity?
yeah, let's do it. No,
Uh,
no, there's never a missed opportunity to talk about me.
yeah. Um, well, in the special editor's extended edition cut of Avengers. Oh man, now I'm like all off my thing.
I
The
I ruined it.
yeah. Well, uh, we'll just go with yours. We'll just go with yours. No, Avengers. Oh come on, help me out here. What was the last Avengers movie? What?
Geez, I don't know.
You don't know
I watched Loki last week. That's all I got.
I'm really liking Loki. Yeah, I'm blanking on
I
the
really like
name.
Loki.
Come on, Gauntlet, Snap, all that stuff. Come on, I'm dying here. Endgame, Avengers
I
Endgame.
didn't.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, I would have just called it Guardians 3. It's not Guardians, it's Avengers. I don't even know. See, that's how much I know. I'm a very casual watcher of these movies and TV shows. My wife enjoys them. I will follow along. They're entertaining enough, and
Mm-hmm.
I have been enjoying Loki. Loki's, I thought, been very good.
Yeah, Thor's Gauntlet of Sloppy Command. Thanks, Data Forge Stream in the chat. That's what I was reaching for. But yeah, in
I
the
think that's what it's called.
special editor's cut extended edition of Guardians of the Galaxy. Gosh darn it.
All right, save it for next week.
Avengers Endgame. At the very end, Tony Stark looks over at his daughter and says, "I love you 3,457."
I
Not that.
I don't even get that reference.
Oh man.
It's not you. It's me. I don't know.
Well, that's for sure. No. Well, anyway, I've got with me like Quick Draw, of course. Quick Draw 3457. How's it going, Quick Draw?
Good. We are keeping it real sloppy tonight, which is good. How are you tonight? Other
uh,
than more sloppy than usual.
Maybe more sloppy than usual. I will admit I am a little tired, so I'm gonna blame it on that. I'll blame it on that. But we have a fun one for us in store today, I think. So we'll have some fun. And yeah, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, Quick Draw?
Is there any major events happening in the near future, um, like early to mid-November 2023?
Hmm.
Um, I
Well,
didn't think so. So we don't need to talk. We can, talk about something different.
is it that we have exited the spooky season and now we're in the turkey season?
I don't even know if it's called turkey season. I think we skip the turkey season. We go straight to the Christmas.
Yeah,
Is really what's happened. I'm
yeah.
already seeing Santa Claus commercials, but no. Talking about Keyforge, we're done with the spooky season. Keyforge celebration is this weekend. We're extremely excited about this. We were talking just before we went on air that 5 Sloppy Lab workers will be there, which is great. The largest accumulation of Sloppy Lab workers ever in the history of the world. And we're going to have a great time. And so we thought, what better time than now to kind of talk about what we expect this weekend, what we're excited for this weekend. You did not go last year to KFC, right?
Mm-mm, I did
No,
not.
I didn't think you did. Neither did I. So we are new to this. We don't know what we're getting into. Some of you guys listening probably were there, and you're going to know much better what to expect than we are. But it's super exciting for us to kind of speculate about this right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And questions already rolling in. What are our hopes and dreams? I mean, yeah, we can get to that, but you already nailed it, Quick Draw. I think 5 sloppy lab workers in one place at one time. The universe has not yet had to hold itself together to contain such a confluence of sloppy lab workers. That's got to be the first highlight for me with a bullet, and some international attendance too for us, right? So we've got
Yeah.
JDG coming down from America's Hat, and we've also got Not Tonight coming across the pond, as it were.
Yeah.
I am super excited to see her. Yeah.
That's right. I know. In fact, there's going to be, with 5 of us there, there's going to be a lot of card discarding this weekend, I think.
I wasn't ready for that. You got me.
JDG with his Quixel Stone. I'm sure one of us is going to be playing an autoencoder at some point. If I play VC, there's a lot of card discarding in VC just because, well, the subtle chains and me just hating creatures and not wanting creatures. So many card discarding. It's our favorite pastime, and so much so that I think maybe we should have a contest. We should keep track who discards the most cards this weekend.
Ooh, that's exciting. I like that
And
idea.
if Crusader were coming, he would win. Crusader would just be like, don't care about winning, just going to discard everything.
Yeah. He's one for going all in on those things.
He is. He's very he's all in on the gags, the memes. He loves it. We'll miss him this weekend though. It's too bad he won't be there.
Yeah, big sad to be missing Crusader. Kvel won't be there now in stereo, and my brother, unfortunately. But we'll take pictures, we'll take names, we'll take the trophies, I guess. Hopefully,
we'll see about that.
Yes.
We didn't take enough pictures last time, so we got to remember to take pictures this time.
Totally. Well, not to rush things along, but let's talk about the things that we're looking forward to. Most looking forward to. I mean, yeah, mention meeting some teammates for the first time. I mean, what else is on your list?
Yeah, the teammates is obviously the big one, and I gotta say, more so than the competition, I'm a bit of a game design nerd. I'm really interested in that kind of stuff, and I am extremely excited to get a chance to talk to Ghost Galaxy folks, and especially the keynote on Saturday evening, and then I'm going to be able to stick around on Sunday late afternoon after the whole ceremony. They have like a meet and greet kind of Q&A thing. I'm really excited for that, just to get a chance to talk shop with some of them and kind of hear more about the future of Keyforge, and especially from a design perspective. It's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, me as well. I saw that on the schedule, and for maybe better or worse, I found the latest flight back that I could get possibly on Sunday. So I'm going to be getting home super late, but I'm stoked to meet the ghosts, as it were, and talk some shop, and get a sense for their takes on some of the like big designy type questions that hint at their long-term plans and stewardship for the game. So that's going to be real fun, kind of end of the weekend capstone, if you will.
Yeah, you and I have talked for a long time on this show about, well, not on this show, but in preparations for the show, talking about more in-depth design topics, and we've never really like done a deeper dive on them. There's a few that we've had in our backlog for a very long time, so I'm hoping that this is kind of like a push that we need to kind of release those and record those episodes and talk about that kind of stuff, because to me that's really interesting. I think it's a different take that we haven't really no one really in the Keyforge community has touched on too much, and I think it's a great spot for us, and hopefully we can learn a lot from the ghosts this weekend about not spoilers, but just really like higher level, what are their plans for the future of this game.
Yeah, and the way they're thinking about some designy topics. We heard from the Nordic Keyforge podcast, it was mentioned kind of in passing, some comments about power creep and some other things, and kind of sparked some interest from me, and I'd love to kind of get some more insight, on that topic and others. So very interested.
Yeah,
taking notes, writing questions down, and
cool.
I don't know, ghosts folk.
I got some notebook ready for this weekend. So I will be taking diligent notes, and
right on.
Looking forward to that. I had to grab it. I didn't leave it within arm's reach at all times like I should be, but
you best be learning. Lesson learned.
I will be this weekend.
Cool.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool, I think. Lots of note taking will happen, and also actually I'm going to try to take notes of games as well, after games, of course. Don't want to break any rules, but I don't know about you guys, but I often have a tendency to kind of forget my games, so much so that in the Philly Vault I was trying to count the games that I'd played and remember the matchups, and I couldn't even remember one of the games. Like, just totally blacked out. Like, I had no idea what the matchup was, didn't know what set it was, nothing. And so I'm going to try to take some notes to better remember the matchups in the games over the weekend too.
Yeah, I remember recapping some of your games from the Philly Vault Tour, and I think it was your fourth or fifth round. We just were kind of like, no idea.
Yeah.
No idea who it was.
There were some games that I remember like almost every detail from it, and then there are other games I'm like, I don't remember that ever happening. I don't know.
Ooh, great question
It
from the
was kind
chat.
of a long day.
Great question from the
Yeah.
chat. Sorry to cut you off there. But yeah, Ketzer's got a question for Gigi and is prompting us because
Ah.
if folks, if you're not going to be there and there are questions you would like to ask, send them along, drop in the chat, send us a DM or whatever on Discord, and we'll work it in if we can. But Ketzer's question is if they plan to do any more Keyforge fiction, and if please could we get some more? Thank you. I would love this. Love to get some more Keyforge fiction, some more world immersion type stuff. I would love to see some of the either existing fiction or new stuff also get done in audio format. And I've often thought like, hey, that'd be kind of a fun like bottom of the Beaker adjunct type
Huh.
content to put
Uh,
out there. Would you do the
that's some
voices
real
quick
voice
draw?
acting. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's my thing. We'll see. Um, that's a great question, though, Ketzer. I really appreciate you asking that one. I took a note. I'm hopefully going to talk to someone about that this weekend. I think that's a great one to ask. Data Forge stream. My question is, when and where is the Sloppy Sextet Vault Tour? Another great question. Not a question for Ghost Galaxy, but um, that would be an intense weekend.
That would be an intense weekend. That'd be excellent. A true format of champions, as it were. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it would be cool to see some high level invite events that are much sweatier that feature much sweatier formats. Like I don't know if you're bringing the 32 folks together, invite only. You're not getting a draw of like 128 people. You might be able to justify best of 3 formats or something that
Mm-hmm.
requires a couple of stages or something. So
Agreed.
it's a
Adaptive.
I didn't say it, but it was on all of our minds.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Fudgenator just joined the chat, so yeah, we're gonna say it. They should bring back adaptive vault tours.
Yeah, and Data Force Stream saying it could be a side event. I'm not above bringing some displays like the one sitting behind me to do some, I don't know, hotel room sloppy sextets could be fun.
I think they're doing a lot of side events with Sealed, just like the pods firing all the time. There's no reason that maybe we could make a suggestion for the future vault
Ooh.
tours, like have a side event casual adaptive, right?
So I thought
And
you were
just
going
do
a
like
different way with this. I bet if we
I
went up
thought
to
you were
them,
really excited about adaptive, but you're excited about something else.
I bet if we went up to them and said, "Hey, put a piece of paper out for sloppy sextet signups, and we'll fire it when we get 8 or something." I bet it would fill. I bet it would fill, and I bet it would fire. But
I think we might get some people that think they're getting into something different.
that's the hotel room one though. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so are you excited for like the non-competitive events, or are you excited for the open events and the Friday morning last chance more?
Ooh, I'm excited for both. I mean, I'm going to this for as an experience, like yes to compete, but also as an experience. So I'm excited for both. I will say that I've done a decent amount of prep. I am like very excited for the competition aspect. I don't want to downplay that, but the other things around it are no less important to me for this weekend. Like I will have an absolutely fantastic weekend if I O2 drop on all of the competitive events. Like I'll still have a blast of a time. I mean, I will obviously be disappointed I didn't play better, but there's a lot that I'm super excited for over and above just kind of competing in the sealed and open events too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the sealed event starts Friday morning. It looks like I'm trying to find the schedule that you have up. Is it 8:30 or is it 9:30 or something like that? It's a very early start on Friday.
Yes. So registration for the World Championship starts at 8:30. So that might be time that you have in mind. The actual start time for the Last Chance Qualifier Sealed Alliance event on Friday is 9:30 a.m. That's the start time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Registration starting at 8:30.
Pretty good. Long day. Going to be a good one.
Yes.
Um, I hope there's. I was trying to look at a map. I always think about food. I don't know about you. I'm a huge meal planner. I love to know like what I'm eating for my next 3 meals, and I don't know what the food's gonna be like there because there's a few places within sort of longer walking distance, but I don't know. They don't have like a restaurant in the game center, do they?
I don't know. This will be my first time there. I'm kind of assuming that most things are a drive or a delivery away, but maybe folks who've been there can correct us. Oh, they do. They do have food available
Right.
from the chat, so that's cool.
I
Um,
love it.
but long waits. Long waits make sense. Long waits make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I was looking at like again, I like to think about food. I was looking at the schedule of events here, and they have like on Saturday the tournament happens, and then like at 6 I think they have the keynote, and at 7 they have something else happening like on Saturday night. And I was kind of like, but where's dinner? And so if they have it on site, I'll survive. Maybe put an order in, you know, around 4 or 5, get it before the keynote, get my notebook ready,
Mm-hmm.
be ready to go. But that's good to hear that they do have food at the game center.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And I wonder too. We're clearly the right people to be presenting this content, but I wonder too if the game center will be open after the end of the keynote, right? Like at the end of the schedule, if you can hang around and play games there, if it's kind of like, thank you for your time. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Like, be gone with you. Because
Mm,
if not, if there isn't a like place to congregate for folks, then it might be actually kind of nice to uh, put out some feelers and see where folks want to congregate if that's going to be a thing
yeah,
nearby or
yeah.
whatever.
I know at the at Philly Vault Tour they kicked us out of the room I think at 11, and in other games traveling to these big events where you have like a conference ballroom to play, one of my favorite things was always having like all night access to the room, and people just stick around and play games casually all night. I don't expect that to happen all night at the game center, but it would be cool if they do let us stay till late to play more Keyforge there, hang out with people. I have a good feeling they will. Um, but yeah, I certainly hope that they don't send us back to the hotel at 7:30 or 8 after the keynote's up.
Yeah. Again, I won't let this question go by. So you're going to do that last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
What are your aspirations for Saturday, given how that goes?
Um, well, it seems like I know for a fact like there are a few people that qualified from Brazil that could not make it.
Okay.
And there's someone else did a count. I don't have the full count, but there are going to be open slots in the World Championship that will have to be filled by the winners or the leaders of the Friday morning sealed. I don't know if there's going to be more for Archon or Alliance. I have a feeling there'll be more for Alliance. Just a hunch. So I don't know. Like we were discussing like okay, like let's say all goes well in the Friday morning sealed, and they offer us a seat in the Alliance World Championship versus the Archon Open event. What do you take? That's to me like I don't know. I'm not an Alliance fan. That's kind of a toss up. Like I would feel bad passing up a spot at a World Championship seat. That's limited to 32 people, but I don't like Alliance, and
Hmm.
I don't know if I'd have. I certainly wouldn't have a. I don't know. Would I have a better chance in a field of 100 playing Archon or 32 playing Alliance when I've done no Alliance prep whatsoever?
Well, you had a similar question posed to you at Philadelphia, right? Like this was a field of close to 100 on the Archon side, if I'm
Hmm.
remembering right, or it was maybe closer to 80. I
Yeah,
think it was close to 100.
it was 98 at
98
Philly.
and sub 20 on the Alliance side. Um, and we did see some folks, though. We did see some folks switching, though. This is slightly different in that you actually have a chance to prepare for the Alliance as well. Like you could bring an Alliance brew. We were standing there in the registration line without Alliance decks, right? So it was maybe a little bit
Yeah,
less practical um, to make a switch there if you
yeah.
were unprepared. Um,
I think that's what a lot of them did in Philly.
there were folks who did it. There were folks who did it. Yeah.
Yeah, Philly was I think 98 Archon. I want to say 18 Alliance, and of those 18 Alliance, like a handful of them, at least 5 or 6, were people that were like, I have an Archon deck and I have a chance to win $3,000, so I'm just going to switch.
Hmm.
Um, that thought never crossed my mind in Philly. It was the first one, and I was like, I'm here to play Archon. I'm not going to like, I'm not going to these events to like. a chance to win money, but it's a little bit different if you have a chance to win a world championship, right? That's different. It's a little bit more money in this tournament, but that's not why I would make that call. It would be for like a chance at a title. But like again, I've done no prep, and I like, do I even have a chance?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a chance certainly. You're not going in prepared for sure. I think from our team we could put together a hand. We definitely have good alliance brews floating around. Um, but yeah, there
Yeah,
are folks who have put
I'm
a
kind of
lot
with
more thinking. Yeah.
Data Force Dream. No offense taken. I am with you. I have no chance in Alliance. I would I would mostly agree with that. Um, I mean, Alliance seems, and we can maybe like tie this together with some of the design parts of this, is that Alliance is really trying to take away some of the randomness by like allowing closer to construction. And I think when you do that, you're trying to make a build that is not going to necessarily be like high roll, low roll, but something that is going to be consistent for you, something that's refined, fine tuned, has very few bad cards. That's how I would approach Alliance if I were an Alliance player. And so I do think that Alliance in general may have less variance for that reason, but that's all kind of theory for me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there are ways you can approach it. You can approach it, and this is again speaking as someone who's not necessarily a person who's spent a lot of time thinking about alliance, but off the cuff, right? There are two kind of big pathways you could take. You could take the pathway of I'm just going to essentially take the best set of like list of cards I can from by quality, no bad cards, everything's pulling its weight, just straight value. I'm going for consistency, low variance, punching hard. And there's another pathway you can take, which is I want to do something that's really unfair a lot of the time. And if that comes with some variance, then so be it. And I think I maybe lean towards the like, what is the single most unfair thing I can do? And how can I push myself like towards that most often? Maybe it's
Yeah.
Genka. Maybe it's the like together near future lens thing. But those are kind of the things that jump to mind. And I would feel like if I wasn't doing something super unfair, I was gonna probably get stomped.
Yeah, that was the first experience we had with Alliance was we tried to build something extremely unfair, and I think we both succeeded in that. Um, and we also succeeded in not having fun doing that. So, um, I ended up having like a library access Battlefleet combo deck that high rolled into like a turn four win was my first experience in Alliance. And that's not going to happen every time. And so if I'm going to play an event like this, though, I don't know, I wouldn't want to hinge my chances on high rolling like 4 or 5 straight games
Hmm.
when I could be up against something that just plays an Eaton's Jar turn one and like greatly reduces my chances at high rolling already.
Hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough. For my side, I am set to play Archon on Saturday, one way or another, and I don't mean that as a knock against Alliance per se. I mean, if it's your jam, like awesome, have fun, like that's great. Like I've spent a lot of time preparing for Archon. Even if I managed to get a last chance slot on the Alliance event, I'd feel like I was throwing away an awful lot of prep and just kind of rolling the dice on my chances when I feel like I know I'm going to enjoy playing on the Archon side. So I kind of
Yeah,
mentally locked in there, and I think being mentally locked in also has sort of a settling effect on me,
sure.
which
No,
is
it
good.
really does. I mean, you don't want to travel to a big event like this not knowing what you're going to be playing the next day, and whether that's like which deck you've chosen or what format you're playing in. Like that just adds to your stress. So, just general advice, I think, for anyone going to a big event like this, try to just settle on something ahead of time. I think we probably talked about this a couple weeks ago too, like before a different Vault Tour conversation. But you don't want to go to the event not knowing what you are going to play, and pick something early, roll with it, and most importantly, do not be deterred by a couple of bad games you play like the week leading up to it. It's a small sample size. When you make your decision, you'll be confident in it, and don't let a small sample size of bad draws like 2 days before the event affect your decision.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's related here. Like if we're not prepared for Alliance, we are geared up for Archon, and going into the weekend, it's a lot less stressful knowing that we are like, locked in a format or a deck or something like that.
Totally. And we just sound old, don't we? Like there was a time when I would roll into an MTG event and it'd be like registration closes in 5 minutes. I'm scribbling my deck list, like looking around, like
Oh yeah,
what tech should I swap in?
we've been there, but we're too old for that now. You're totally right. I want to just enjoy the evenings before Friday and Saturday night and not worry about that. I
Yeah,
want to be like, I'm playing a deck that I've played 100 times already, and I don't need last minute practice sessions to feel good about it. With CCGs, you probably need that because there's so much more tweaking in CCGs.
mm,
Whereas KeyForge, I think, really lends itself with the fixed decks to just be like, well, you know, I've done all the prep that I need to do. I'm not going to get a ton of value out of another 2 games, so let's just go have a beer or play a casual sealed or play a different game entirely. Whatever helps you relax and have a good time.
man, some of my play different game entirely. I'm on the fence whether or not to bring some other games with me. Maybe should.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we should. Um, Whenever I would go to play like other CCGs for the weekends, and like I said, they have the game room open all weekend. That was when 10 p.m. hit, the tournament ended, everyone got back from dinner, everybody brought down a different board game, and people just played these intense board games all night. That was not the games that we came weekend to play, but you hang out with friends, you meet new friends, you play different games, and you kind of get a break from the grind of the game that you came there to play. And that's not like a knock on anything. It's just it's a good mental break. And so I would definitely, if you have space, bring a different game. I'd love to try something different.
That's the trick.
I
That's the
also might
trick.
just like to play Keyforge the whole weekend. I don't know. I could go either way.
Could go either way.
But for anyone listening, I don't think it's a crazy idea at all to bring a different board game.
Game Center's got to have game library kicking around.
Do they have
Maybe.
games there?
I don't know.
Are
They
we
ought,
sure about that?
they ought to. If you don't, and you're listening. If you're listening, ghosts, put that game library together.
PSA from DataForge Stream. This is a good thing to note. The $75 event cost does not include the 3 WoE decks for the last chance qualifier. So I guess you either have to bring them or buy them there, according to DataForge Stream.
Hmm.
It's good to know. I didn't know that. Another PSA from the Cloggin. I also did not know this, and I'm very excited about this. It sounds like they sell adult beverages at the Game Center,
There you go. There
which
you
is
go.
excellent news. Um,
So you're.
don't get too sloppy, though. It's the only time I will say don't get too sloppy. But I'm still happy to hear that I can grab a beverage there. That's nice.
Nice. Nice. Might get sloppy
So, yeah.
indeed.
um, what else are you thinking about this weekend? What else is on your mind for it?
So other things I'm looking forward to before we sort of switch gears. I don't know if this is just the sample size that I've kind of been given, or is really representative, but it feels like there's going to be a decent international presence altogether. Like there are going to be a bunch of folks from the Nordic folks there. I think like Linus Sue and that crew. I think the captain can't, unfortunately. I thought he did, but I think I'm wrong. But Algernon Honor maybe. So
Yeah, I
some of
think
those
so.
all.
A lot of AFK from France are going to be there.
There you go.
Um,
There you go.
some Italians are going to be there. There's an Italian hand delivering a Whirlpool deck for me. Um, so I have that going for me. And it also happens to feature Trooper, the best token in the game.
The best token.
Uh, excited about this one. And then obviously not tonight, coming from Poland. So you're right. There's definitely a very large European contingent coming, which will be really great to meet them. And we play against them and compete against them all the time. And unless they're a streamer, we don't really get a chance to put a fake name. So that's pretty cool. Get a chance to meet them all.
Totally. Totally. So I don't know. That was kind of my list wrapping it out. I mean, one way or another, we're going to see Grim Reminders cards. Like they're going to be in the Menagerie decks. I have to imagine at the very least. So that's something to look forward to. I know folks are still digesting WoE, but that's going to be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and there have been some hints dropped by Ghost Galaxy about whether or not there will be Grim Reminders here. There's no confirmation, but if you look on the event page, They talk about the goodie bag. They say that you'll have a chance, perhaps have a chance, to enjoy some grim surprises. So they're dropping breadcrumbs here. Um, in fact, Sky Jedi was on Help from Future Self about a week ago and was asked directly, "Will there be grim reminders there?" And he gave a no comment. And you know what no comment means? No comment means definitely yes. I'm just not allowed to say that.
Nice, nice. Well, something to look forward to. Okay then. Quick draw. Quick question for a quick draw. If they announced on Friday that the sealed event would be played with Grim Reminders decks, would you be? What's your reaction? Are you excited?
Do you mean the last chance
The
qualifier?
last chance qualifier. Yep.
I would not be excited. No,
Mm-hmm.
I would be disappointed. I think for a competitive event, you want to keep everyone on like even playing field. And I think throwing a new set that no one's ever seen before, well, I shouldn't say no one, but most have never seen before, I don't think is a good way to determine, a high level champion that they're looking to crown here. So I would be disappointed if they did that.
Okay, fair enough. I think it'd be mixed feels for me. It'd be sort of a like, wow, this is really cool, but also feels kind of bad. I don't know. I've been playing more sealed last couple weeks, hoping to eke out some advantage in the last chance qualifier. Um,
That's a good idea.
yeah.
We could maybe do some sealed alliance practice the rest of this week.
hmm hmm It might not be a bad idea at all. Might not be a bad idea at
Yeah.
all.
Fox them all is another point that I was going to bring up as well. The fact that playtesters will for sure be there would make it rough. Um, so basically, like if they are going to have Grim Reminders be a meaningful sealed tournament, yeah, the playtesters have a massive advantage from having seen cards, knowing what to look for, knowing certain combos, things like that. I would totally agree with that. I think that'd be very bad to give a competitive advantage to some of them.
hmm
So let's hope that that doesn't come to it.
Hmm. They've been already primed on how to discard all those cards. We had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I'm gonna have stickers, Sloppy Lab Work stickers. So if you're interested in a Sloppy Lab Work sticker, same deal applies from Philadelphia. Just approach me at any point during the weekend. Tell me to stay sloppy, and you will get yourself a Sloppy Lab Work sticker.
Ditto that. Ditto that. I'll have a bunch of stickers. I don't know which variants I'll have, but definitely we'll have variants on hand, ready to be handed out. Absolutely.
Nice.
Cool. Cool.
Um, let's see. All right. So, what? Let's talk again about like the meet and greet, the Q&A, the keynote, getting a chance to meet these guys in person. Is there anything in particular you're hoping to ask them? Do you have any specific things in mind?
Specific things to ask. I guess the big ones I'm curious to ask about. I maybe hinted at a little bit already. I'm curious to ask about kind of their thoughts on things like power creep, and I'd be really curious to pin down some folks on takes for set rotation. How likely that is to be a thing, and if it's not a thing, why aren't they thinking about it? Yeah, when's closed alpha for the digital client coming in from the chat from Cloggin? Yeah, I'll pin them down on that. But yeah, those are the ones that really come to mind for me. I think I'd love to hear takes on those, as well as this is also kind of dipping into our wish list for 2024, but I think one of the big challenges in front of GG right now is kind of wrapping their arms around local scenes, LGSs again too. I think we did a decent job, a solid job, but really as good as could be expected, given timing and some of the other constraints that were on them, getting a high level OP bootstrapped again. And I think we've kind of gotten out of our skis in terms of local play, and even the folks who are really passionate locally, not even the store owners, but the community advocates, the local heroes, right, are kind of like, well, when do I pump the gas? Like I need something to to get folks to come out to show the store owner that there's a community here ready to go. And I think those folks are going to be looking this weekend to see what we got in store for them next year.
Yeah, definitely lots of good questions to ask them about. What are the plans for 2024? We can get to those in a minute. Um, Kind of like sort of playing off your question that you would have about power creep and possibly set rotation. I'm interested in keeping this game evergreen. Like I don't want to use the word promise, but I've seen other players refer to it as like the Keyforge promise was that your decks are always going to be playable out of the box no matter what. And so when we talk about rotation, it kind of gets away from that. So personally, I want to see all of the Coda decks, AOA decks legal for, at least some high level competitive play for the rest of time. But I want to ask them, how do you plan on doing that? Because if Winds of Exchange, in my opinion, with power creep is an indicator, some of the spoilers we've seen from Grim Reminders as well, being pretty powerful, how are you going to maintain that evergreen nature of the game? I'm really interested to kind of hear them. And, I kind of want to press them on it. I don't want to make it seem like, it's an attack that like there's a lot of power creep happening, but really like I want to hear their critical thoughts on, preserving that evergreen part of this game.
Hmm. I think the evergreen thing has to go. I think most recent 3 sets, maybe most recent 6 sets is reasonable. I mean, we've got a handful of years maybe left, maybe 3 years left, where I think it's going to be really tenable to allow folks to bring anything they want. And then after that, I think it starts getting unwieldy. That's not to say that there couldn't be events offered that were evergreen, right? That where any deck is viable. But I think if you are looking at the World Championship, say, it start making a lot more sense to limit it to the most recent sets. Yeah, but we'll see what they say.
I'd be open. Yeah, I'm curious what they say too. I mean, I think there are some creative solutions you could do as well. Like if not talking about rotation of just the previous 3 sets, but like what if you have like some random events throughout the year that are mix and match? Like sometimes you might have like Coda, Dark Tidings, and Grim Reminders as your options, or another might be like a different meta than that. And so I don't know. I think limiting the sets in a different way than just previous 3 might be a way to be a middle ground between rotation and the evergreen, where it's like at least at some points you'll have some tournaments where your Coda and AOA are still allowed to be played. I don't know. It could be a little bit interesting exploration of a meta if you eliminate random things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there are other kind of factors pulling at decision making here too, right? Like at the end of the day, your professional tour, your high level event is kind of marketing for the game. And some of these restrictions too are also forcing functions for folks to buy new stuff. So we want to give folks an excuse or a reason to move on from their pink frauds or their jocks and buy some of the new thing, even if it without resorting to really jacking up the power level, right?
Well, I was going to say, like, if we go back to like the chains and the power level, that could be a way to, graduate away from those kind of decks. But we have a first time chat from fellow sloppy lab worker B-Hawk. Is this a first time chat because this is BH4WK, or is this an imposter? But not to give you too much crap, this is a great point and a great question. B-Hawk says, I like Evergreen, but to make it appealing for newer players, you got to have a cap, legacy, and standard, just like Magic the Gathering. I almost want to word a question to Ghost Galaxy about like the financial part of it, because I think one thing that I believe you have said this, and others have probably said it too, is that they had to make WoW more powerful as like a way to get new people into the game with competitive decks right away. And there is kind of like a business side of that too, where you know yeah, maybe like to sell product, they had to make it good. They had to make it better. And that's kind of like the argument against, or rather like the argument for like why power creep exists in the first place is it's a business, right? And so I might try to find a way to word a question that talks about the business side, but also talks about balancing that with the competitive gaming side as well, and how they plan on doing that. Because I do think that it does seem that WoW probably like fits that mold of like, well, we need to make sure that, first set after a new company is launching it has to be good, have to make money on it, have to get people interested in it. But I think you also have to balance that from a game design perspective. Um, you know, I I'll talk about something else in a minute, but I kind of let if you or B Hawk have any other comments on that, I'm curious to hear it.
Yeah, I do think that woe in particular is a special case in the power creep kind of question. Um, just being the first set after a long hiatus, you're in a position where you're trying to essentially reintroduce the game, and it makes a lot of sense to reintroduce the game in a way that doesn't also say to the folks who you're trying to bring in, hey, BT Dubs, you have 3 years of history that you have to really contend with if you want to be competitive. Um, Being able to say, like, no, there's a decent chance that you're going to pull something that can hang with some of the older stuff is really appealing and makes an awful lot of sense when you're in this reintroductory phase. I don't think that I would argue that the incremental power creep, if you will, of woe is like something that we want to see set over set. That being said, I do also think that, and this is one of the critiques that we've had of woe, right, is that there's a little bit more, woe's a little bit more swingy than some of the other sets. And I don't think that's terrible either. I think seeing something that can be very powerful, but also very splashy, and then at the same time, sometimes fall flat, is not a bad way to do power creep if you have to in a short burst, right? Especially,
We don't.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
was just gonna say we don't disagree too often, but I pretty vehemently disagree with that. I think the swinginess is very bad from a balancing and design perspective. I think it I think it mitigates skill in the game when you have that.
I don't disagree with you. But I would say it's okay in short amounts, especially in small amounts, especially if you do plan at some point to introduce a set rotation. Like I think that you can really justify having an uptick in power, a set that's a little bit more swingy, and know in the back of your mind, well, this is going to work itself out in 3 years, say, um, and it's almost like you're taking on some debt in the swinginess or the power creepiness of the game in order to get the lifeblood flowing again.
Yeah,
But
I mean, and Hawk has a couple other really good comments here that I want to touch on. Swingy being random is also absolutely great for newer players. I agree with that. We've talked about this before, actually, talking about why luck is a good thing in games. I think we've talked about that on the show.
oh, for sure, for
If
sure.
not, I want to because I totally agree. Like a good game, the best games, in my opinion, will have some luck to them, and that's kind of why I've knocked on chess a little bit. I love chess, but it's not a good game for new players because a new player will never feel like they can win that game against someone who's been playing for, you know, years or even months in some cases, unless they're, particularly good at these kind of games. So I totally agree. You need that kind of luck and swinginess. It's just my personal opinion that Keyforge already had the right balance of that. And I don't think that it needed to be ratcheted up like it seems to have been in this set with things like Halifest or Abyssal Sight kind of taking away like the most important card you might need or
Hmm.
things like that.
Yeah, I think we could take particular issue with some cards more than others. Uh, Halifest is an interesting one. I almost feel like we could do an entire design episode just digging into Halifest, and I also
Mm,
agree that I would not like to see things like Abyssal Sight in high volume. Even at common, it's questionable. I think it punishes handcrafting and long-term
absolutely.
strategic planning in a way that I don't want to see a lot of. Um, uh, and I think you could make a
Yeah.
reasonable argument that we had the right amount of that before, or a reasonable amount of that before, and this maybe dials it up to a point where, like, yeah, it's powerful and it's splashy, and that's attractive to folks who may have been pushed out or just looking to get in, but also comes with some feel bads that you have to manage too. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't disagree with you. There are some cards that are more borderline, more edgy than others. On balance, I still come out on the side of the absolute worst thing that Winds of Exchange could have been for the health of the game and the long-term viability of the game was boring. Like, I love AOA, I love DT, but if the next set, if Winds of Exchange was an AOA or a DT, we'd be not seeing grumbles, but we'd be seeing crickets, and that's a lot worse. And that's a lot worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing that B-Hawk mentioned was he didn't really feel that it was power creep necessarily, but rather specific targeted interactions that disrupted an overpowering meta. And the example he gives is Infernus being a counter to Dakota Rush. And I would agree with that with Infernus. I think that's a good example. And honestly, I've gone on record before of saying the first 5 sets, I felt that power creep in this game was managed very well.
Mm-hmm.
My concern with Winds of Exchange, and this is another question I may have for Ghost Galaxy this weekend, is really how it creates the wider boards that requires a very specific type of card to interact with that. And if you don't have the ability to either outrush the deck or handle the wide creatures that you're seeing, it really, I think it limits the number of decks that are viable. And so I wonder if that's something that they're considering how to handle in future sets, or if they're concerned about that at all, maybe.
Yeah. I'm going to borrow another kind of idea from the MTG designers. But one of the things that they're often saying in some of their thoughts on how you manage power creep, this is a game that's been around for 30 odd years, right? Is rather than raising the sea level, you push the pendulum, right? So maybe big boards are great right now, and we're going to do big boards better than any set before has done big boards, but other things pull back. And so we don't have decks that are just better than everything that's come before it, but maybe they do big wide boards better, and the rest of their deck selection has to adjust to accommodate that. It doesn't mean that they're invalid or that the old sets are invalid, but that maybe you pick a different slice. And I think that's healthy to see this kind of pendulum swing around of like what matters. And you can almost imagine like it, emphasizing different levers on the arc or riffle, as it were, and I think that's super healthy. And I also think that this is the thing that gets a lot easier to manage with a rotation. But yeah, I don't want to belabor it, but
Yeah.
there'd be
No, it definitely does get easier with the rotation, for sure. It would answer a lot of the questions. Maybe we ask them directly if rotation is in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. I'd be curious if it's on their radar, if it's a thing they're considering. It's
Yeah.
If it's not, then
I think that's a good question for them. I think is this something that you're even considering, or is it something you're talking about? You don't have to give us an answer like yeah we're doing it or no we're not, but is it something that you're thinking about? And
Mhm.
I kind of think that the type of answer we get from that I think could be telling.
Totally. And I do think there'd be, riots to an extent about if we all of a sudden cut to last 3 sets, like, and there was nowhere to play your coda decks, right? I think that would be riots. That would be Riot City.
Mm-hmm.
I have to imagine that it would be some sort of a mix. Like we had maybe, and I don't know what the best way to do it. We're just kind of spitballing, but if it's better to have things evergreen at the local level and then trickle up to most recent at the high level, probably the other way. Probably you leave evergreen at the local level, and then at the highest levels, it favors most recent sets. Maybe not. I don't know, but there's going to be
Kind
an
of reminds me.
intelligent way to mix it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of someone's suggestion that if you're using older sets, like you add chains. So like for X minus like if we're talking like set 6 is Grim Reminders, I think, or set 6 Winds of Exchange.
Set
Losing
6
count.
is Winds of Exchange. Yeah.
So if Winds of Exchange is the current set, that is set 6. Maybe like if they instituted this wasn't my idea, someone else had proposed this. If you want to play a Coda 1, to play a Coda deck, you'd have to show up with 5 chains. So it's still technically evergreen, but you are punished for playing older decks. Now that to me doesn't work exactly because if you have power creep, then why would you an older deck that's not as good for more chains as opposed to a newer deck that is technically or theoretically um, higher power without chains, right? Um, but something like that, I don't know. People don't like chains either, so maybe that's out the window.
I I don't love the idea. I don't love the idea, to be honest. I think I'd rather see something that's more of a split of where you're allowed to. Largely because I don't think it really addresses the underlying issues that folks are going to have with older decks, which is in a wide open field. It doesn't matter if you give me 10 chains. Like if you have to worry about Eaton's Jar and Heart of the Forest, you still have to worry about Eaton's Jar and Heart of the Forest. Yeah, maybe that deck's been punished. Maybe that matters less so far of the forest. But I think one of the goals for rotation is to just constrict the surface area of like what you have to worry about in your deck selection. And if one or two chains is probably not making a huge difference if you're reaching back, depending on how aggressively you start punishing things. But I think one of the goals is to kind of limit the surface area of what's potential to be brought, and everything that comes with that, right? Like not telling new players that you have to worry about combos from 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That has a lot. That's a lot going for it, and you can do that, and then still have different events where you're allowed to bring whatever. We're allowed to bring whatever, and give folks that outlet too. But I am admittedly very biased here as a longtime Magic player who almost exclusively played Eternal formats, so like the Legacies and the Vintages, which allowed you to bring cards from anything. But I still see the value in having a rotation for some of the premier formats. Yeah.
Dataforge Stream asks, are you guys excited for the Menagerie decks and games at all? I'd say I am lukewarm, mild. It's a new iteration of Unchained, which I think is trying to fix it a little bit, since I felt that a lot of Unchained was just non-synergistic and it wasn't crazy enough. And I think this is intentionally trying to be more synergistic. So I see this as them trying to improve on that. But I'm not really that excited for them in general. I'll be excited to play them this weekend. That's going to be fun. Something new. Hopefully you open something and you have like great synergy and combos. You can get one that comes with the game buying any others. I'm just not interested in decks that are not tournament ready for it this weekend than I am for like the long term of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think they're going to scratch a sort of novelty itch for a lot of folks in the same way that Unchained did. I'm excited to play it and jam some games this weekend. I think it'll be a cool way to introduce some Grim Reminders cards, maybe give some folks some access to some chase combos from older sets they weren't able to get if that tickles their fancy. I don't think we've seen a ton of folks playing Unchained out in the wild. I played a decent amount of Unchained Sealed and even Unchained Adaptive with Not Tonight with some of our decks, and that was a lot of fun. And the crappy decks that come out of it too are also a lot of fun, as are the good ones. We did an Unchained week for ABR as well, which was wacky. It's probably a mixed bag of enjoyment depending on whether or not you're one of the folks who have the double library access decks, But we'll see. I'm curious how the reception goes. Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of internet issues at the moment, and so I didn't catch most of that. Don't know what my computer is doing this evening, but yeah, I didn't catch most of that, so I don't have a response.
No worries. Whatever you do, just keep saying whatever you're saying, and Zencastr will pick it up and it'll come together. So apologies to the folks here on the stream if we're a little jittery, but listen to the podcast. Get the double dose. It'll be nice and smooth, buttery smooth. Just crack. Oh yeah, all massive disappointments. I this is actually a great point from the clog in the chat, who's saying he just opened a bunch of AOA and it was kind of womp womp city. I almost I don't know, I'm very very reluctant to just crack decks anymore. Like I have a bunch of displays sitting behind me, and I don't know. I'm very reluctant to open a deck and not play it immediately. But for that reason, just being that it can feel really bad to even open 2 or 3 decks and be like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna want to play these guys. But I feel you. And especially in the cheap Amazon AOA displays, you're like, man, these are good prices on some lottery tickets on the old AOA lottery. It's hard to resist. All right. Well.
Yeah, I think I might have to call it an early evening. I'm not catching anything coming, just garbled noises. Hopefully the viewers aren't hearing the same thing I'm hearing. I don't think they are. So unfortunately, I will probably have to cut unless you want to just go talk solo for a while, JT.
Oh, we can call it there. I think we hit all the good stuff. So that makes sense. Maybe we'll just do our sign-offs and thank folks for being on here. I'll let you all know that we do have a sponsor for this evening's episode. This episode of Bottom of the Beaker is sponsored by Membership Driving School. Unlike other driving schools, this ain't no token training program. We believe in personalized learning. With Membership Driving School, you'll have the power to forge your own path. Get behind the wheel with Membership Driving School. We put the keys in your hand. So thank you very much, Membership Driving School, for being fans and patrons of the show. Your support is appreciated. Folks, I want to let you know that Bottom of the Beaker is recorded live on Tuesday evenings at 9:30 Eastern right here at twitch.tv/sloppylabwork. You can find recordings of our past shows and other streams over at youtube.com. Search for @sloppylabwork over there. And for the very best content, 57 times distilled and scraped from the bottom of the beaker, search for that very phrase in your podcatcher of choice. Don't just mumble something about Guardians of the Galaxy or snaps and things. Like, that's what you got to search for. And yeah, quick draw. Any words for the folks getting off the last audio stop?
Yeah, everyone, thanks for listening. Hope you have a great weekend if you're going to KFC, and say hi to us if you do. And if you're not, I hope there's some good coverage. I believe Ghost Galaxy has said it will be streamed this weekend. Enjoy watching that as much as you can. And above all else, stay sloppy out there.
Stay sloppy. Right on. Cool. Well, thanks, folks, for hanging out. Yeah, TTR will have a stream, I believe. I don't know if they're having any co-commentators or what have you, but that's cool. That's cool to see that the stream train is coming. Actually, I don't know. Is that a thing that the TTR and the other folks who have done coverage kind of do themselves, or does Ghost Galaxy fly them out and kind of set them up and stuff?
I don't have definitive info, but I'm pretty sure they foot the bill themselves. The casters do.
Okay.
Yeah. Dataforce Stream confirms that.
Gotcha. Well, many thanks to them. It's appreciated, and I think it goes a long way towards making it feel more like a international event. And I didn't have a great moment to say while we were doing the audio portion, but I really have to take a moment here and just let y'all marvel, who are here with us on stream, these super sweet sloppy lab work keys that I will be sporting this weekend. Compliments of Dataforge Stream. If there is any way that you're here and aren't subscribed over there, like, get on over twitch.tv/Dataforge Stream, subscribe, and on one side of these keys they say Sloppy Lab Work in our own font, custom font, and on the back we've got our iconic cracked beaker in both in red, yellow, and blue. So super excited to be sporting these. Thank you very much, Dataforge Stream. I even have an extra set that Zoc provided. So we might have to have a cage match uh, for
Wow.
for
Or
some.
maybe whoever eliminates you from contention.
Ooh, that could be. That could be. Then I hope
A
I end up with the
bounty.
extras. Um,
A
and not only
bounty on
that,
JT.
bounty on JT. That would be fun having like a belt, as it were. But I also need to show off this really cool ABR pin, which also came from Zoc. So super pumped for those. And he sent over a couple extras. So I'm going to be distributing those amongst the lab workers. So very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you muchly.
I will say one other thing I'm looking for this weekend. If anyone's got recommendations, a sweet set of keys. It could be, I don't have any other requirements for it. Just something that's like right now. I love my keys that I have right now. They're like the original small cardboard ones that I have a cat sticker on them for my cats. Um, and so those are pretty personal and cool. But I would really love, you know, a fancier, more, I don't know what the word is. Just a fancy key, fancy set of keys, I should say.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what they got there.
I've got some of the metal ones, the big metal ones. I don't know
I don't
if a
love the big metal ones. I'm going for something that's like,
little smaller,
you know,
a little smaller, a
a
little
little
more
smaller,
compact.
but
Yeah.
like do like the feel of them. I like you know, the metal compared to cardboard. I think is a plus.
It's a step up. You actually said you just got some burger tokens, which I thoroughly approve of. Yeah,
Yeah, I used yours in Philly, and I fell in love with them. And I was like, I just have to get these. It
they're
felt
excellent.
like a lot of money to spend on tokens, but they're really nice.
They're really nice, and they do have keys with them. So they're the small ones that go on the penny, right?
Hmm.
And then they also have
Yeah,
the Whopper ones that go on a quarter, I think. I don't know,
yeah.
but
Eh,
yeah,
do it for me. The small ones definitely don't. The Whoppers I didn't want to spend extra money on. Um, I'm going to talk pizza tokens with the Cloggin. I love all things pizza. So let's talk pizza
yes,
tokens. I'm
yes,
in. That would be very thematic for me as well. For anyone that knows me, um, big into pizza. So
yeah. The
that sounds lovely.
brick oven fired up by Quick Draw himself. Absolutely, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, how's the internet feeling? We playing a game, or I think we're calling it an evening?
I could go either way. My internet has recovered. I had to end the show early for us. I could play a game. Do you have something specific in mind? You want to play a sealed?
We could do a sealed woe in preparation for Friday. Sealed woe in preparation for Friday.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
do, let's do a not alliance, unfortunately. I don't think it'd be cool if TCO had a sealed alliance format, but
Yeah, I guess we could grab 3 decks and do it, but we'll go for
nah.
the junk food version here.
Yeah. All right. I will have a beginner game up for you, unless you already have one done.
Nope. Okay. So what are you most looking for in your sealed pool? Are you hoping to pull troopers in your sealed pool?
I will say troopers are, I think, especially good in seal. Um, you want big bodies in seal, I feel. I
Mm-hmm.
think they would do pretty well. If they don't have the epic poem, then I don't know. It's a little less good. Um, but I've got a scholar here.
Oh, mama.
Now we're talking. Um, okay. Um, checking out this deck. All right. Okay, we'll see how this goes.
All right.
You got an
So,
explorer. You got my favorite. I think we switched decks probably.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, you have a spicy house combo going over there. I dig it. Um, I'm gonna
especially for sealed.
keep this hand. Yeah. I don't hate. I don't hate it.
I think yeah, you've got Brobnar, Saurian Star. I've got Brobnar, Saurian Equidon. So, yeah, I think I'll keep this as well.
You've opened an obscene amount of explorers. I do not know how
It's
you do it.
ridiculous. I mean, I keep opening explorers. I've done some math on them. Um, I think right now I have like 10 or 12 in my possession out
Wow.
of like 50 some decks, which
Wow.
is it's just crazy. And I've sold a lot of bulk. All in all, I've never bought an Explorer deck, but I have opened plenty of them, and they represent a very disproportionately high percentage of my Winds of Exchange collection, and I'm not a fan of the token.
I do have one Explorer deck that I'm selling, and I may test it out at some point too. I didn't call for me. It looks solid, but didn't kind of sing to my soul, as it were. Uh, so we'll see. Ooh, I'm gonna adjust the sizes of our noggins on the layout here. Playing some dudes. Okay. I mean,
Double Might Club is scary.
yeah.
Might Club in Pelf is especially if you have multiples. In sealed, I feel is super strong.
I'm so greedy. The people watching the stream are seeing how greedy I am. But we're gonna play the bumpsy here. Take away one of your amber, and I think we gotta deal with this Tribune Pompitis, as Quick Draw says, before it gets out of hand. Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate that. I do need to refresh because my TCO is a little sloppy tonight,
That was two
like it is
fights.
every night. I don't know
Two
about
fights, Claudia.
anyone else. That was two. You're right. Um, I've had a lot of connection issues on TCO lately. I don't know about anyone else.
I've been having them more when spectating than when playing. Uh, yeah.
Hmm. Let's see here.
Okay. Stop the Zencaster too while I'm at it.
All right, let's go Ecuadon here. And let's make some tokens and show you my hand. Okay. Tokenized. A couple of very good cards. That's woe for you.
Tokenize some good cards. You've got a Stratusmac, a Pelf, and a Might Club of your own. All right. Well, my greed is sort of paying off. I'm gonna play a hold the line here and draw 5. Seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We also get to red alert to deal with some of those duders. Transporter platform comes down. Play Scout Chief Corrigier.
I was just wondering if you had any creatures.
I was really trying to get a lot of value out of that hold the line in red alert. Though I don't feel bad about having don't feel bad about having dealt with the Pompatus too. Yeah, I have some duders coming. I'll leave.
Yeah, you got lots of duders over there.
Leave that one open
All right.
too.
Well, I guess we're fighting, right, Cloggin?
Let's go. The fights are coming.
Krog the Clumsy gonna take out a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
Berserker Slam gonna take out another.
Hey yo.
And Stratusmac gonna take out another.
All my duders. All my duders.
So many duders. So many duders gone now.
Wow. How rude. How
I keep tokenizing good cards.
rude. Hmm. couple options here, but I think only one good one. So we'll go Brobnar. I'm going to use those Might Clubs to do some fighting. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Krog the Clumsy of my own.
That's good. Yeah, Might Clubs and Sealed, super underrated.
I agree. Also going to Berserker Plant, Slam your Scholar, make a token and archive the Press Gang, and get another Reap out of this Krog with my other Might Club. Thanks, the empty board. I dig it.
Okay, so you got 4 amber. I think I am gonna let you forge here.
Ooh, that sounds like a mass buyout.
It sure does. I think that's okay. I'm all right with that, so I can empty my hand a little bit, play some creatures. Ooh, don't forget to reap with that ready belligerent guard.
Yep, makes sense. Okay, that's the red key for me. I like it.
Let's see if you call Saurian finally.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. Well, it does seem like the time to play Drusilla. No other creatures to bite the bullet there. Brighter Marius can come down too. And peeking at my deck here. Interesting.
Ooh, this is the first for me, guys. Really excited about this turn.
Oh boy, let's see it.
Never done this before. I don't know about you guys, but I am gonna reap with the old Tinker and discard that cursed relic. How about that?
Nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
Well done.
I feel so good right now. I will auction off one of these Might Clubs.
That's rude.
They're really pesky. And then probably a couple, I don't know, reaps or fights. Splash attack 4. You kill everything if you fight with him. So I think I should probably get rid of him. I am going to reap, and then I'm going to give you another amber here, the forced retirement. I don't know. Maybe I should have played the forced retirement on my own after fighting. Does it matter? At least I still have a board.
Having board's good. I don't know if I can push my luck with this, so I'm going to cash in now. Play Praetor Marius number 2.
Got a Symposium epic poem.
I do have an epic poem. 3, 4. Gonna get 4 from that poem. Symposium would be real nice.
Yeah, Symposium, Praetor Marius is a very good combo.
Okay.
All right. Yellow key first, as always.
Womp womp. No class.
All right, I think I got one more chance to go back into Equidon here. think I'm gonna do that.
Seems fair.
Let's reap. Get rid of an Aquila.
Aquilia.
Let's fight off. Is it Aquila or Aquilia? It is Aquilia. Well, you know. Potato, potato. I like reaping more, and let's cap it off with a generous offer.
Ooh, nice. No fear for Rant and Rive. I like it.
No, bring it. Show me Rant Rife.
I wish I could. All right, Brobnar it is. Strato smack the Tinker. Get a dude.
He did his job. Tinker, that is the best old Tinker I've ever had.
That's a good old Tinker. Ragnarok.
Ooh, that's a good rep. Good
prep
rep.
For value. Fire Spitter comes down. Do I have a reason to not take away your last duder? Oh, that's interesting. I don't think so. No red alerts. If there's anything else to really play on that, just knowing that you're probably not going back into Equidon again.
No, I am not. But this is a good situation for me. Some handcrafting paid off.
It's a Krog. Nice. Get Hammer. Cool. Get Hammer. Okay, unlikely the whole band, but okay. Shock Herder. Cool. That's nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
That worked out pretty good.
Not bad. Do I want that card in hand? Probably not. That's a tough call. I think I am going to be a little greedy, though. Maybe more greedy than I should be. All right, making a token. Sending it back to hand. Trying to warp your dudes. Play the Stealth Stir. Draw a card.
All right. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference. I don't get the win more that I hoped I would get here. So we're going to go Saurian. We are going to pale into insignificance for double pips. I should have played my upgrade first, but we're going to play Pax Sauriana for 2. Discard.
Oof.
Discard. Check for key 3.
Check for key 3 indeed. I think I have a lot of ways to take away 2 amber. But that's not going to do it. By a lot of ways, I mean one way. Okay. Nicely done. Smash some things. Capture some stuff.
GG.
And very nicely done. GG.
I do like Brobnar and Sealed a lot. I
Yeah.
will be very happy to draw some Brobnar this weekend. Um, and like I'm really high in the Might Club with Pelf. Did you have any Pelfs in your deck?
Did I have any Pelfs? I didn't think I had any Pelfs. No Pelfs. Shockherder, Krog, Fire Spitter, Bumpsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one Might Club and one Pelf,
Mm-hmm.
but lots of big bodies in Brobnar. 9 Brobnar creatures in my list.
Okay.
Um, yeah. The Emptiness Who Checks Shields was mine.
Epinium, Spawn of Dozefuss. Let's give it a check on the old doc. See what DOK thinks of this guy. It was interesting. It was a cool deck. I maybe could have set up my battle line better to not get blown out by splash damage. I think I left myself a little vulnerable there at a couple of spots. I don't know if it mattered a ton.
I think there was a turn that you left the Krog the Clumsy out when I don't think you had to. My Krog the Clumsy, I mean.
Oh yeah.
And with the splash, obviously that made a big difference.
Yeah, that was right after the big Star Alliance unload.
It may have been. I think maybe it was just that you hid the Scout Chiefs behind the taunt.
Yes. To get splashed.
But I could easily kill them both with the splash. Yeah.
I will admit I was like not thinking about Krog in that moment, so that was a slip on my part for sure. A good note.
Yeah.
A good note, and the Krog was on board, so
he was on board. Yeah. 3 Krogs in this deck.
That's a lot of Krogs.
It's very clumsy. Very clumsy deck.
You're Krogging.
Yeah. This was a 68 Saz in the future Saz.
I'm looking at 60 in future Saz.
I tokenized my epic poem, which was a bummer. Tokenized one of the auction offs. Came with 2 auction offs. Would have really liked one of those.
Yeah, you got one of my Might Clubs.
I did. Yeah, had to handle that one. So when the Winds of Exchange release happened at my local store, we had a good group there. I think we had like 6 or 8. I ended up losing in the last game because my opponent had a Pelf and 3 Might Clubs, and I had Hallowfest. But could not find the Hallowfest. And once the Pelf gets out with triple Might Club, that is rough and sealed.
That's tough.
Very tough. You have to obviously have the creature control to handle the Pelf, but if you don't, do you really play creatures? Like they're gonna fight 3 times, make you lose 3, and I can't remember if she had a Brick Nasty as well. Like that just makes it even worse.
Ooh, that's rough. If not for the Brick Nasty, I say you got to flood it. I'm rereading the Red Rising books right now to get to the second trilogy. I think I'm book 5, but one of the quotes from the book is how to lambs slay a lion or something along those lines, and you drown it in blood. Like I think you just gotta play the creatures out there and go over the top in some of those cases. Yeah. But if they're making money too, that's tough.
Yeah, it's hard and sealed because obviously I don't know if they're gonna have a Brick Nasty or not. But generally in sealed, I'm not gonna play around something like that to that degree. You need to play some creatures and force their hand a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tricky.
No.
It's tricky. I do love the dynamic of closed, hidden decklist sealed compared to open decklist Archon. I think it just really shifts the value of a lot of cards in very interesting ways. Not so much that it feels like a completely different game, but enough where I don't know. I enjoy the dynamic there for sure. Yeah. Book 5. Mm-hmm.
What's the Saz on yours? 56.
56 in old money, 60s in new money, future money.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got some tricks. It's got some cool things. I got decent value out of the hold the line. There's not a ton to do with the transporter platform other than make more 4 deuters with your Scout Chief, which is still okay. And it does have some cool epic poem patronage shenanigans with Pride Marius if it sticks around. Yeah. But no symposium or anything like that.
Yeah. First time chat, Made of Foam. Don't know who they are, but they don't like you.
Hey, everybody needs a heal. What can you say?
I get to reread the chat after the game because I'm not watching your screen obviously, and so I go back and see all the good stuff I missed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can get some more Sealed Alliance practice in this week in preparation for Friday. But
Yeah,
looking forward to it Friday.
it would be cool even just to pull some spreads, 3 decks, and get everybody's take on what their builds would be.
Yeah. Some sloppy science there. That would be a good exercise at least.
Some sloppy science. Yeah, get folks' thoughts on there. No outside help sort of a thing. What's your build and what's your thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. That'll be some good brainstorming the rest of the week.
Some good brainstorming.
I can't devote time to a game during work hours, but I can take a few minutes to analyze 3 decks and see what my alliance would look like. So,
yeah. Right on.
Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Right on.
Thanks for tuning in, participating. Before we leave, or even while we're there, feel free to send us some more questions you might have for Ghost Galaxy, and we'll see what we can do. Get you some answers if you're not going to be there.
Right on. Thanks, folks, and we'll see you all around the lab. Later.
See you guys.